Well, I've got a current problem. It's recurring. It happens with a French clock, and the wheel which activates the hammer with the pins on it, this one, is harboured on the back plate here in this housing here, there, which looks like this. So that goes in there, and the hole for the pivot wears. Now this one I've got here is concurrently one which I've got to sort out, and I will try and show you what I mean, because it is a real problem in that it needs rebushing, and as a consequence it is quite a lot of hard work. Let's see if I can show this to you. Now you can see the hole there is oblong. On the left hand side is the true hole, and on the right hand side towards this big screw hole is where it's been elongated, and it has to be rebushed. This one here I have rebushed, and let's see if I can get this one there. That one I've rebushed, and that's what I want to try and show you now, what I'm going to do. I have a third one of these that I did. I couldn't understand why the clock kept stopping for no apparent reason, not at regular times, and I took it to pieces again, inspected it, and I found that this needed to be rebushed. I rebushed it, and I breathed a sigh of relief. It actually works. So that if you find that this pivot hole for the wheel which lifts the hammer, which has all the stars on it, like this, that wheel, and this is the end that is the business end of it, that's perfectly all right, that is. But as you can see from this bushing here, it's not good enough. That is pear-shaped. It's not true. And so this is a bushing that I've got to do now. So we'll see how that goes. Right, the next stage is to show you the tools that I'm using. The first thing I will do is to line up this piece on on a vise in the mill. I will then centre with a 0.6 mil drill the centre of the pivot hole, and I will then drill out the pivot hole with a 1.2 millimeter drill in preparation for a 1.97 reamer. This is a 1.97 reamer. Let's see if I can get it so you can see the number. It'll be upside down because that was the wrong way around. That's 197, because I'm going to use a Bergen pre-cut bush, And the bush will have a diameter of the pinhole at 0.6. The thickness of the bush is 1.5 because we're not doing it at the thickness of the plate, which is 2.2, but we're doing it because we have a smaller thickness with this because it's a recessed bush. Having drilled out with the reamer, I then clean it up with a handheld reamer. When I put the reamer to ream out the hole, I'm very careful I don't push it all the way through, because if you do, by the time you push it through and pull it out, the hole is usually a little bit too big. You want it tight. So I use this, which is a finishing off at a 2.8 reamer, which means up here it's 2.8 and down there it's going to be perhaps 1.7, which means that the hole will be tapered so that I will apply it from the front with the oil sink on the front, and it'll taper towards the back. When I've got it so that the bush will just fit in, I then use this to drive it home, because you've got an oil sink there, and this is a ball punch, and I'll use that on a solid surface with a light hammer just to get it in. And then I'll finish it off flush because this is a nice anvil. Now I have the drill, the 6mm drill, sorry, 0.6mm drill in the old hole, which has been, sorry I can't hold it still, which has been drilled, elongated and needs rebushing. So that's the drill, and I'll just come over there, and it's quite difficult to get it lined up, but that's it. So I'll replace that drill now with one that I'll drill through with, and that should give me the right bore, a sort of 1.2mm bore. Is that right? Yes. And right, now I've changed the drill from a 0.6 to find the centre, which was very difficult, and it's a 1.2mm drill hole, which will be a good recipient for the 1.79 reamer, which will be in a moment. So here we go. Right, so that's drilled at 1.2. Now I lift that up and put the reamer in. So it should be in exactly the same centre line, both in the X and the Y axis. You can tell me what those are later. Alright. Now the only problem with the reamer is actually it's a different chuck coupling. It's got a flat area, so I've got to tuck it well in Just check that it's in. Yeah, that's it. It's running true. There's no wobble in it. Now I only want to take it up to not the widest point, because if you do, or at least I've found that if I take it up to the widest point and push it right through to the bottom, I've then got a problem, because it actually takes out just a fraction too much. So I want to be able to just do it so that it's going to be a little bit too small. Then I'll use a hand reamer to get it up to size and just see how it fits. Right, that's all I'm going to take off. Now the rest of it's going to be done by hand. So I'll switch off now and I'll come back in a minute. Right, here we are again. Well, I hope it's, when I say here we are again, it should be fairly continuous if I've been able to organise it. We have the piece with the hole now. This has got a hole in it which is successfully done. I don't know if you can, I hope you can see it. Now I've got to try and fit the push in there, and it doesn't fit at the moment. It's sitting on the top, so I've got to ream that out just a fraction so that it will work. And I do it from the oil sink side, because this is slightly tapered, so that means that if it fits in at this side, it will then be okay. Right, that's it. It's see if I can show you. That's not in straight. Well, no, I say it's not in straight. It's not in as far as it should go. Right, so now I'm going to pop it back, but of course I can't use that lock because I've got to find holes for the studs underneath to go into. And yeah, that's all right. So I should be able to tap that home now. Yeah, I think that's as near as perfect as is required. Now let's have a look at it. So maybe go a little bit more, but I've got to ream that out now, and it's flat on this side. It's a nice finish there. So now it's a bit too small, so I've got to ream it out. There we are. It's done. Don't know if you can see it very well, but well, here we are. I've reassembled the clock, or the movement. We have the rebushed pivot there, and it's now turning, and it's ideal, perfect. Not even oiled yet. So there we are. That's the end of the exercise. It's now reassembled. The pivots in its rebushed hole, and it's going to work. And if that hasn't been bushed, it would have stopped the clock eventually, intermittently, as I found on another clock, which I had to rebush like this. So don't let it go. If you see this particular bush being badly worn, then I do recommend that you have it rebushed and refitted.